Hi, I'm Carrie, stroke survivor and Bind member.
And I'm Kezia, a brain injury survivor and a member of Bind. And today we have Courtney, and she is a member of Bind, and she's here to share her story and her experience as a young brain injury survivor that had many milestones still to reach and accomplish. So we're super excited to have her, and hopefully you guys see pictures of her and her great smile.
Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited that you're here too, and we finally get to meet each other in person.
Welcome to Bindwaves, the official podcast of the Brain Injury Network of Dallas. I'm Brian White, Bind's Executive Director. On each episode, we'll be providing insight into the brain injury community. We'll be talking to members and professionals regarding their stories and the important role of Bind's Clubhouse. We work as a team to inspire hope, community, and a sense of purpose to survivors, caregivers, and the public. Thank you for tuning into Bindwaves. Let's get on with the show.
So first thing that we want to learn about you is your little story, who you are and what you have here to share.
Yes, well, as you all know, I'm Courtney. I'm a brain injury survivor it's going on 9 years this year, come the end of February. And yeah, I've had many milestones I've had to make to get to this point, get to my healthiest at this point. And I'm just happy to be here, happy to be alive still thriving.
Great. So one thing that we also wanted to learn about you is, what kind of brain injury did you have?
Yeah, so I had, the brain injury that I have is a concussion with ataxia tremor.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I know very little about that, I think, right? Or
I think Jeff, has ataxia tremors as well. So
okay.
If you notice, sometimes he shakes a little more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
okay.
for the listeners that don't know, ataxia is more, the tremor, if you just think about, kind of a little bit unsteady sometimes and have to be careful with your balance. We all have to be careful with our balance after a brain injury, unfortunately.
For sure.
But with tremors, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So you said it's almost 8 years. So after your brain injury, I know every life changes so much. So what kind of goals did you set forth for yourself?
Oh my goodness. I had a lot of goals. So in 2014, I was 23 years old. I was in college. And my background, I'm a visual and performing artist. I was going to school for theater and dance with an art minor. And I was very active. I played sports like majority of my life, very active, very fast paced. Also, I can multitask out this world, memory like an elephant. Just like I was just that, type of person. But when I was 23, I was actually like home from school, just kind of taking a break. And that's when I sustained a head injury. I was bent down, even on the phone, and I was kind of distracted, rushing throughout the house trying to look for something. I don't remember what I was looking for, but whatever it was like underneath like the island marble countertop table that was like this, and then we had like an open space in our apartment, which was like where the cabinet was, and I was like in between the space and then the island countertop table. And so I was on the phone this way, rushing, and I'm like, okay, I'll talk to you later, and then came up, boom, hit my head here. I had a massive headache. I actually put ice on my head because sports, sports and dance, they don't want you to be injured. But if you can push past it, push past it. That's always been like my training. It made me not the healthiest, but we just, we go for the goal pretty much. We just, after that, I put ice on my head. The headache subsided for 5 minutes. And then I was like, okay, I'm good. I also checked to see if I had like a gash in my head because of how hard I came up. I didn't see any bleeding, but my head was like hurting really bad. But after the ice, I felt better. I was mobile. I was still doing, whatever, going throughout my day. Went to church that day, and my grandmother, who's a retired nurse, she was also on the phone with me when I hit my head, so she was trying to make sure I was okay. But that's when that night, everything just kind of got really strange. The headache came on really strong. I could see you, Carrie, and then everything around you would be blurry. So my vision started becoming affected. And then I went home, took a leave, went to sleep. And then the next morning, it was just all different. And I just started having issues with balance, issues with moving. I couldn't move my left arm. And then I tried to, my grandmother, my sister who, was with me, everyone was asking me, like, what's your name? Who's the president? What's today's date?
Oh, my God,
And I could, rattle it off. But, I mean, I just felt like the world kind of went in slow motion. My movements became really like I was falling over. And so I'm just thinking, what in the world is going on? That's what's going on in my mind. But I'm like, I should be able to move. I should be able to walk. And then my grandmother told my sister to keep me moving. And so we were walking in our living room back and forth until, she came. And then all of a sudden, instantly, I just stopped moving. And the left side of my body just started tremoring so bad. And I couldn't control it. And I got admitted into the hospital. Now, from there, at 23 years old at the time, I'm just like, what is happening to me? I was just dancing on stage, and why can I not move, And so it took a long time. I'll say, oh gosh, it's been a long journey, but my goals have always been, since my injury, I wanted to get back in sports again. Not even sports, but just being active. To my healthiest that I was, and my goals with my physical therapist, like I just really wanted to walk again, run again, skip again, spin again, jump again, like all of those things, because that's what I love to do. And then from there, it's just been a journey, even in physical therapy. So.
Yeah, I definitely connect to that. Like, as you say right now, I actually had the stroke in December, and I was training for the 3rd marathon in that same year, and I was supposed to run in October, but I couldn't do it. Like, I was just like, my head hurts. I don't know what's going on. And then I didn't finish it. I trained for it, but I just didn't finish it. And then that's been, like, personally, like, my goal, too. It's just, I just want to run again. Like, I may not be the fastest, and I definitely are not in the shape that I was back then, but just being able to connect to what I would do before. So I totally understand that. You mentioned too, like while you were talking right now, you were 23 and you were still in school. Like, were you able to finish it, or what was your idea like during that time?
I just took a break. And because I wanted to take a break. Because during that time, I was just like, I just want to just take a break from school just to figure out which direction. Because at this time, now granted, I was a senior in college. So trying to figure out, okay, well, what direction do I want to go? I was actually in theater at the time. So they were pushing me for Broadway, for acting, things like that. I wanted to be in film. I wanted to get my combat license. Like, that's like to the extreme I wanted to go. I wanted to go to California, go to Hollywood, audition, all those different things. But, I was just kind of more in a transition of like, I don't know necessarily if Broadway is for me. I really want to, explore more of film, or, try to do something else. But, we're in a program, so we were about to go to New York City, audition in front of all these casting directors. I mean, for dancing, for acting opportunities. I necessarily didn't want to go to New York. It's too cold, and I wanted to go to California. I mean, who doesn't want to go to California? And still to this day, I still haven't been. I will be going one day eventually, but yeah. So like, I just took a break, to heal. And during that time, I wasn't even in school, and I'm pretty sure like everyone from school was trying to make sure I was okay, because they found out that I had a head injury. And then not only that, they're seeing, I'm tracking my progress and going from literally a couple months prior, I'm dancing on stage to in a wheelchair. So everyone was like, are you okay? What's going on? How are you? And they actually thought I had a stroke, but I was like, no, it's a brain injury. I had a brain injury, and I had to deal with just healing, also kind of grieving a little bit, because movement's been my life. Right. And for me to go from dancing to having fun, like I love doing those things, to now being immobile, now
Yeah.
not controlling the whole left side of my body, to even more things like vision issues, constant headaches, not remembering anything. Like I even developed early on a form of, it's called aphasia.
Yes.
I developed that, and going from even being social to memorizing lines and scripts, and I'm just like, I just felt so lost. Like I was like more into my own body,
Right.
and having to navigate through that. I was in St. Louis at the time. That's where I lived. They didn't have a lot of resources for me. And so I had to try to find more of my own, you know, and just really heal from that. Not, in physical therapy, in speech, constant OT. And I was just like, oh, I don't like this life. I miss my old life. But it was just a pause of my life, like a long pause. But I had to really navigate through that and those changes.
Yeah, I could totally see that for sure. I mean, it is a change, a quick and drastic change from before and like the next day. Yeah, I totally understand that. I think I too have aphasia, and I think that we have a couple episodes coming on about explaining that, right? And that changed everything. Like, not for me, it's not really being able to read quickly like I used to. I used to read a book a month, and now I'm like, one sentence would make me sleepy.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot to, you know, like understand and remember, like, what did I just read? So yeah, I totally get with you. But you also mentioned earlier that now you're back at work, and like, what are you currently doing, and how did you get to that point?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you know, I actually, in that transition, so I'll say I went to school. I did go to school first, and then I did eventually get into work. Now, how I ended up even getting to that process, honestly, I'll say like maybe five months in, or I'm sorry, not months.
I was like,
months.
wait a minute,
No.
That's quick.
No. Let's rewind. I'm sorry, my mistake. Maybe 5 years in. I'll say 6 years in. By this point, you know, in St. Louis, I think in 2017, they were trying to end my therapy because they were like, you're kind of hitting a plateau. And I was like, no, I don't know. I can't skip. I can't, like, my goals,
Right.
I can't skip. I can't dance. I can't, like, I want to do all those things. And so I actually ended up moving down here in 2017 and meeting my physical therapist, Steve, who has worked with tons of concussion patients, because he's also he used to be the athletic trainer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Chicago Bears. So he's seen a lot of players like out. And so he has helped me, like, for my body get strong, and it's even a mental aspect and a mental, you know, effort too, because I had to do a lot of multitasking, which is something I struggle with, as well as with, you know, ataxia tremor. But I got to the point where my body got strong, where I could mask it. I could actually I could actually control, like, my muscles. So at that point, because of all the constant physical therapy, there were a lot of connections happening in my brain. It's like, oh, hey, I remember this. Oh, hey, we remember this. We know how to do this in my brain, the neuron connectors.
Right, exactly.
So in 2019, I don't know. It was one of those things where I was just like, I want to go back to school. I think I'm ready. Like, at this point, I was like, I think I'm ready to go back. Now, I didn't know what that necessarily entailed, because my situation's a little different. And by this time, I'm 29. So I'm just like, in 2019, I was 29. So I'm like, oh gosh, okay, I was 23, now I'm 29. Well, I can't go back on the stage. You know, I can't, you know, dance like I used to, but what can I do? And I remembered when I was younger, like 18, I remember there were some older people, like in their 60s, 30s, going back to school. And I thought it was interesting because they would actually take your experience and you can, like, format your degree. And I remembered that. So I was like, I could do that. I can, like, probably kind of form, because I only have like one semester left. So maybe I could just form my degree into what I can do. And so I met someone at my church that he also had like an injury, and he told me to speak with the disabilities office whenever I tried to go back to register for school. Also too, when I was here at Bind, I was just trying to get so many resources because I didn't really know what that looked like as far as having a disability and going back to school. I didn't know really what to do or where to turn. So the director here told me I should be a part of the DARS program. And so I immediately got the number from the director, and then I just started, researching. My mom, she helped me a lot. She's a retired educator too. So she was helping me get all transcripts in and, sorry, not transcripts, applications in. Well, transcripts too.
Yeah, you had to get those.
Yeah, I had to get those too. And so we did that process. And then the DARS program, I had a counselor who helped you get back into school and to work. So it was kind of like a twofold. So they said, if we can get you back into school, we can most definitely assist you with that, anything that you need. So I went through them. They helped me get through that process too. And then from there, I had to speak with my counselors at school and said, hey, so this is my background. No, I can't major in theater. I can't major, in these areas, but this is my life experience. I also did for work readiness too. Yes. A little bit. My parents, they actually have their own business, which they do events. And so they would have me go to work with them and just hang up like a drape. Just to practice hanging up a drape. Or even I had an internship with Quan Burton Studios here in Dallas for like 3 years, all the way up until 2020. And I was able to exercise my artistic skills in a different format, which is, film and photography. So I had all that working for me. So they took all that and concised it down. And I graduated in 2020 graduate.
Yay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we concised that down to a Bachelor of Integrated Studies degree in Arts and Humanities. And
wow.
Yeah. And so I actually, my last project, my senior project during COVID, I actually did creative directing and produced an entire film.
Oh, wow.
And it had its challenges, but when I tell you that it came out so good, I was just like, I pat myself on the back. I'm so proud.
Oh my God, yes. Do you still have access to it?
I still have access
you have
to it.
Show it to everyone.
Now the funny thing is, I never posted it. I wanted to post it, but I was just like, it's just my school project. But I was like, no, this is good. I need a.
We can have a watch party here at Bind.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a huge success.
Yeah, and it's the same what happened for work. DARS program. Oh, and I have to give a special shout out to the Brain Injury Association of Missouri, because they actually helped me I got a scholarship from them.
Oh, wow.
To be able to go back to school too. So that was a blessing within itself. So with all of those programs, DARS, the Brain Injury Association of America or Missouri, whichever state that you're in, they actually have scholarships and things you can apply for.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and programs. And then for work, same thing, DARS program, they set me up with a job counselor. And we looked for a full year. Now, this took time, and I was just like, I need. They were trying to find a job that fit me, of something that I can do.
Right.
So it took time. But I finally found a job. I work for an airline, and I'm grateful for that job, because that job, it pushed me way outside my comfort zone, and being back into the work program, or being back in work again.
Right, yes.
I had to navigate through that. It was like a new challenge that it's like, okay, well, this is now a new safety net. It's not. We're not confined anymore. We're taking off some of the training wheels, and we're just going to jump into this. And I'm really proud of myself, because,
and that you should be.
Yeah. And it was a lot. It still is a lot to deal with, but even setting that up, having my job counselor, or even my doctors having to set up what is it called? We have to talk to the disabilities office, and they set up accommodations for you. Oh, and this is really good to have, but I always have to go back and talk to my doctor and say, this is what I need, this is what's happening, and they have to write off on certain things, like, okay, this is what this person needs for this, and if your job is able to provide those things, they will. If not, well, and this is my challenge, if not, you just have to try to adjust, you know, to what's needed. And if it doesn't work out for you, there's always other jobs.
Yeah, that's true. I know. I mean, I was like you. After my stroke, it took me, I would say, probably about 8 years before I was like, you know what, I can go back to work. I can do this. I can go back to work. I can find, and I've gone back to work and I've gone back to driving. So it is scary. You made me feel a little old when you're talking about people in their 30s going back to school. Well, I went back to school in my 30s. I graduated when I was 31. I didn't think I was old then. But
no, not at
now
all.
I'm really old. So thanks a lot, Courtney. But I did the same as you. I took a class that was basically write your own course description, and so I could do a lot of work life credit. So I did the same. I earned like 18 hours in one class. So yeah. It's That's crazy, awesome. The stuff that you can do. And I wasn't even brain injured back then. Well, I might have been a little bit, but not officially.
Not officially. That's funny. Yeah. Honestly, it's been really inspiring to hear your story. And I hope that everyone that's listening to us right now feels that, because it's been so inspiring and such good information. So anyone that hasn't heard more, please press like and follow us and know that we are here every Thursday.
Yeah. And I know, and it is encouraging, because a lot of brain injured survivors and even people that don't have brain injuries think that once you've had a brain injury, you're stuck. You're confined to a wheelchair for the rest of your life. You're not going to move on. But as we continue to try to tell everyone, recovery is ongoing. It's lifelong. We can always get better. We can always achieve more. Life isn't over. We are ready to go. Life is all about us. It's just a little bit different. Like you said, you have to figure out the new navigation of what you want to do, but you're doing it. So we're proud of you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I do want to ask a little bit.
Okay.
So you are doing you have a lot of resources to be sharing. So I think, and I did ask you earlier, if more people want to continue talking to you about what you've done, what you've experienced, maybe someone from Missouri is going to listen to you and want to be like, where, what, how would we reach out to you and talk to you?
Absolutely. You all can follow me on social media. My Instagram is Courtney Lorraine, at Courtney Lorraine. You can also follow me on Facebook, Courtney Lorraine, as well. I also am starting my own business. It's for the mixed paint and sip, and actually part of the proceeds will be going towards brain injury organizations to help give them the resources that they need.
That's great.
So I'm excited about that. It's a paint party that I'll be bringing to people's houses, and so if you all want to buy a paint kit and for that, it's at the Mixed Paint and Sip.
Okay. Nice. That's awesome. That's super exciting to hear that.
Thank you.
To hear that. And then I also wanted to ask another question. Okay. One more.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you think that you definitely want to let all brain injury survivors, even their family members, know that what would you make sure to want someone know before, like right after their brain injury, or even the family members, like as soon as it happens, like what do you want to let them know that you would have loved to hear?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
That is so great. Well, for the survivor who's sustained a head injury, I would say be patient with yourself. It's okay to be different now. It's going to have its challenges, but don't give up. And get to know this new you, because you're still amazing. You're still wonderful, and keep fighting. And for the caregivers, patience. Be patient with your loved one, your friend, and try not to set old expectations on them, especially if it's something that they're not the same in anymore. Adapt and try to learn this new them as well. And also too, there's tons of help that's out there. Like for instance, Bind is one, the Brain Injury Association of America, this nationwide, they have support groups as well. Support groups will really help everyone navigate through this new journey.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. For our listeners, if you're listening, we do at Bind, again, you can contact us. We have a list of local area support groups that we know about that we would be happy to share with anyone that needs them. So again, you can email us at bindwaves@thebind.org for any information. We will have Courtney's information included in the titles and the description of the podcast today.
Yes, we will. And if you want any more information about Bind, like I said, like Carrie just said, you can contact us in the email. But don't forget to like us, share, subscribe, and also hit notify on the YouTube while listening to Bindwaves.
Yep. And again, we're every Thursday. You can find us on all your favorite platforms, and we look forward to maybe having Courtney back to help us do some other stuff. Just a little teaser. We won't tell you what that is, but maybe we'll get some more out of Courtney later. So thank y'all so much for joining us and for listening.
Thank you, and I guess we'll come back.
Okay.
Until next
time. We hope you've enjoyed listening to Bind Waves and continue to support Bind and our nonprofit mission.
We support brain injury survivors as they reconnect into the life, the community, and their workplace.
And we couldn't do that without great listeners like you. We appreciate each and every one of you. Continue watching. Until next time.
Until next time.